What is up? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we're here in my basement where I have many items that I'm storing, including but not limited to film cameras. I have all different kinds and all different states of repair, disrepair, however you want to look at it. Glass half full, camera half working, not working. If you find yourself in a certain predicament such as this, with a basement or an attic, with cameras, how much is that worth? How much is your collection worth? And we're going to break that down today with this handy whiteboard. We got like one partial light bulb over here that we're using for lighting, so that's fine. Is the condition of your camera collection like this, where it's just parts, hasn't been used for a while, questionable quality, or is it like pristine working condition? If it's pristine working condition, I encourage you to continue to watch the video for engagement, like the video, subscribe, but this is probably not going to be too applicable to you. If, however, you're thinking, gosh, I remember 30 years ago I had a film camera, this is the video for you. Or if you're like me, and like, oh, I want to repair cameras, so you buy up a bunch of garbage, this is the video for you. So how much money is it worth? So first we have to go with the important thing would be type. What kind of cameras do you have? Are they name brand? The big name brands we've talked about before, but they are obviously going to be Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Pentax, Minolta. Those are probably going to be the most common ones. There's obviously going to be offshoots of that, such as Konica, Contax, Topcon, and then there's a whole lot more, and I'm going to make a lot of people upset if I don't go through all of them, but I'm not going to because I don't have that much of a whiteboard, and it's really beside the point. These are the big money ones. There's going to be outliers from this group that will, yield you more money, like a Yashica here and there. Of course, there's also Leica, the Hasselblad, all that stuff. But again, if you have those, this is probably not the video for you to watch. Those tend to hold on to their money quite well, except for the earlier Leica screw mounts. Those don't tend to yield as much money as you might think, especially because the quality of those, if they've not been serviced, is usually going to require a lot more servicing costs than the camera's actually valued at. Something like a Hasselblad kind of falls into the same regard of like, it is worth a lot of money, just all times of all days. Depending on these name brands, whatever you have, whatever type of camera, you can look that up. Say you have a Canon AE1, Olympus OM2, Nikon FE2. Look online. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is go on eBay, type this in, and instead of just seeing what the results are in terms of what people are selling, go to items, completed sales, whatever, and you can see what they're selling at. That way you get a better idea of what the market's actually evaluated at, as opposed to what people hope to get. Because there's cameras on there that people are hoping to get thousands of dollars for that are likely going to sell for more like 100 or something like that. So it's important to have an accurate assessment of value. The next thing you can do from there, so I'll put that. The next thing you can do from there is see the actual condition of the camera. In fact, you might actually want to do that before you go online. Is it growing things? Has it become an ecosystem for other life forms? Is it in pristine shape? Did a battery explode? Has it been stored in a basement such as this that's become waterlogged over the years? Has it been in an attic that has become the home of a Chernobyl-like nuclear fallout? What's the condition of that going to look like? And that condition is obviously going to tie in to the value of the system. Now, quick ways to check conditions of cameras would be as simple as Spotmatic here I have on the top. So first what we'll do is we'll see it's missing this front leather here. Pop open the back. Okay, the curtain looks fine. There's no clear growth back here. And then we're going to fire it. Now I'm going to select a variety of different speeds, and I'm going to hold it up to a light to make sure that the shutter actually opens. Sometimes they don't. I'll move it down to slower speeds. And if you hear that, that means that the shutter timing is a little bit dry. This is not a working camera, as it were. It does kind of operate, but the shutter needs servicing. The whole camera likely needs servicing. This requires some element of repair, which means it's not a mint condition. This is very common for older systems such as this. Now, if you have a more electronic system, the things you should check for are the contacts. Like for this T50 here, we can tell that due to some explosion that happened, some aggressive battery-related diarrhea, the power on this will probably not work. And because this is a electronic camera, I guess it's the T70, doesn't matter, it's not going to work ostensibly. So with this, it's garbage. If we're assessing value, it has to be based upon these principles. Name brand, what is the price point online, the average rough price, and the condition of your camera. So once you have an idea of the condition that your camera's in, once you have an idea of the average price point, you can take that price, say it's the value of the camera. Say you have something like an Olympus OM1, those are selling for like, let's say 150, body only 150. You check it out, the shutter speeds seem to work, the power seems to work as well. Maybe there's some physical issues, the top has a dent in it or something like that, so it's not mint plus plus, but it's probably around that 150, 145 mark, somewhere in there. From there, what I would recommend you do is, depending on where you live, take it into a camera shop. Now, here's the very important thing. You do not want to sell it to the shop. You do not want them to consign it for you. You just want them to double check this. You want a second opinion. Now, if you don't live near a camera shop, if you know somebody who is like myself and has a basement full of film cameras and is oddly obsessed with them, talk to them about it. Again, you don't want to sell it to them. You just want to say, hey, what's the condition of this like? You can go into the guise of like, maybe I want to shoot with it, maybe I don't. Don't say outright, I want to sell this, because what they're going to do is they will take this number that you have in mind and they'll say, well, it's actually only worth, $10. I can give you $10 for it. And you don't want that to happen. Maybe you do want to shoot with it. Maybe you want to hold on to it forever. Maybe it's a family heirloom. Who knows? They don't know. They don't care. They're a business or somebody who's looking to snag up a deal. Get some kind of second opinion, whether it's from a shop, whether it's from someone that you know, or the internet, whatever. Once you get that second opinion, fantastic. From there, you can say, okay, now this actually double checks and it is worth this amount, or it is worth this amount, or it is only worth 100 or whatever. And from there, take it online. If you want to sell it, put it up on eBay, take really good pictures of it. Now, there are a few problems that arise with this approach because we are greatly overlooking the sentimental value of the camera. Is this a camera that your long lost relative, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whatever, got you? Obviously, that's going to carry a lot more weight. So in that instance, all of this doesn't matter. The name brand of it, if it's a Praktica something or a Zenit something or a Sears or a Tower or any of these kind of tertiary brand names, but it's something that your aunt got you and you have very fond memories of her and she's dead or whatever, or it's a camera that your grandpa shot with and he took it overseas or whatever, that is priceless. That's not something that can be valued. But the flip side of that is it is something that will not be valued. So you could walk into that camera shop or talk to a camera friend and be like, I have this Brownie Hawkeye, and in my instance, I have a Brownie Hawkeye. It was my grandma's camera, I believe. I'll have to double check with my mom, but I think it was my grandma's camera. The unfortunate thing is that camera is maybe 20 bucks, maybe 50 bucks last time I checked, in working condition, which they typically are. Because it has a familial relationship, it's priceless to me. It's a camera that I really enjoy and I want to shoot with and I don't want to sell. So it does have a lot of big money. There we go. It was weird doing that backwards. Very little money to everyone else. There we go. This is great. This is quality. A couple of other disclaimers that we should talk about. The cameras that will actually sell for quite a bit of money are going to be 35mm SLRs, rangefinders, and medium format cameras, specifically 120. These are going to be the real money makers here. There's going to be some other random ones that you might get some money out of, such as the Polaroid SX70 series, or some of the more specific artisanal sub-miniature cameras, stuff like that, or large format cameras. All of those things you could get some money out of, but those are going to be much more exclusive, easier to look into, and this is more specific advice to these groups. Now, if you have like a Polaroid land camera, one of those folding cameras, unfortunately, that's pretty much worthless. The film is no longer really produced for those. It is kind of, but it's very selective, hard to come by, very expensive. And there's a community that enjoys shooting those, but for the most part, they have what they want, and it's going to look great on a shelf, but that's about it. There's 127 film cameras, which not a film that really is made anymore. All of these things I'm going to list out. There are options to shoot with those cameras. It's going to be more expensive, and it's not as popular for an audience as these are, so you're not going to be able to sell for as much money. Instant cameras, the Polaroid systems, especially something like the Kodak Color Burst, all of those are going to be ostensibly valueless. They could still be fun to use, but quality might vary. There's newer options out there for instant film. An 8mm camera or a 16mm or Super 8 camera, those sometimes have some value, but the 8mm doesn't really, because they don't really make 8mm film anymore. It is very expensive to shoot and to develop. Super 8 might be worth something, but especially the lower end consumer grade Super 8 cameras are prone to lenses being housed full of ecosystems of dust and mold and fungus. It's terrible. Same kind of thing with 16mm camera, although 16mm is much harder to come by. And if you know somebody who did shoot 16mm, or if you shot 16mm, you probably took pretty good care of your gear and have a pretty accurate assessment of how much it's worth. So again, this doesn't really fall into you. We're talking more about the consumer things. There's also 126, which is the cartridge version of 35. Bad news bears, they don't really make that anymore. Cameras that were designed for it were not super great. There's also APS film, the Advantex film, whatever. Again, they don't really make that anymore. If you have a name brand, if it's one of these categories, what I would do, as mentioned, see if it works. Hold it up to a light, see if the shutter opens, see if the timing is different for the slower speeds. I have a whole host of videos going over a lot of different cameras, so just type it in to my channel. You might be able to find a little walkthrough on how to use it. Then go online, kind of get an idea of what you're looking at for the price, then get a second opinion, and then from there determine, is it worth trying to sell, or is it something I should try to hold on to? Even better, if you want to try to get back into film photography yourself, I have plenty of videos detailing that as well. But I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something. If you are spending the weekend cleaning out the garage, the basement, the attic, what have you, to uncover your film cameras, I hope this video helps guide you on the right path of assessing its value and whether or not it makes sense to try to sell. If it is something that does mean a lot to you or to your family, then I always recommend holding on to that, even if it is going to, net you some boku dollars. If you're not in a position where you need that money, I think it's really important to keep the sentimental things with you, not because you're a hoarder, but just because each camera has its own kind of story, and it's really cool to be able to hold on to those memories and some kind of physical anchor to that. So I hope this was helpful. Again, thank you for watching. Like it if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.